It is crazy. All right. Well, I'm just going to keep clicking to let folks in, but I do want to make sure that we get started here. Oh, 82 degrees in Arizona. All you people are making us jealous. um, all right. So, thank you so much for joining us this evening for our monthly research masterclass. We are excited to have John Henny here with us this evening. And we are, of course, extremely grateful for our AARP support that allows us to offer all of these master classes for free or pay what you will. And we're really excited to talk about um, the our voice, and we've done a couple of these now about the aging voice and how we can continue to sing in a healthy way for as long as possible. So we have with us tonight John Henny, who is a leading vocal coach in the music industry with over 25 years of experience. His techniques are designed to maintain vocal health, um, to improve overall sound quality, eliminate voice cracks, and extend the singer's range to allow them to express themselves without limitation. John Henny is not only an accomplished vocal coach, but also a respected lecturer who has spoken at colleges and institutes like USC, Paul McCartney's Liverpool Institute of the Arts, and the Academy of Contemporary Music in England. He's also a master teacher for vocal coaches worldwide, conducting annual teaching engagements in Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. And he's also an author. He has 3 Amazon bestsellers, one of which you're going to hear a little bit more about this evening. He's a podcast host of The Intelligent Voice with over 500,000 downloads. So I am going to turn things over to John Henny this evening, and I'm going to monitor the chat. So if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat as you think about them. But he's also going to pause periodically to answer questions as well. So John, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. All right. So let me just pull up my slides here. And I have to move you out of my monitor a second to get the screen share. Technology, it's never smooth. Here we go. We can see this, yes? Perfect. Okay. Ageless singing, reclaim, revitalize, and rejuvenate your voice. About me, I have been teaching for a long time, and I've trained thousands of singers around the world, including a number of famous singers. I've also trained hundreds of voice teachers around the world as well, many of them who have celebrity clientele now that dwarfs mine. So they're incredibly successful. I'm also quite honored to have worked with a number of session singers in the Los Angeles area. These are singers you have undoubtedly heard on movie soundtracks, commercials, backing famous artists, etc. So I've also written, at this point, I've written 5 books on the voice. These 2 are my most popular, The Mature Singer's Guidebook and Beginning Singing. My goals for today: I want you to understand what is going on in the voice. And you know what? I need to, no offense to all of you, I need to move your faces because I can't see. Okay, wonderful looking group, but I can't read through you. I want you to understand.
We just lost your slides, John.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to have to keep them here then. Hold on. I am going to move. That'll work. That'll work.
Okay.
All right. So I want you to understand what aging is doing to the voice so we can have a game plan to push back against it. I also want to give you proven solutions to improve your voice and answer your most pressing questions. So myself, I was introduced to the aging process in terms of my singing quite suddenly. In my late 50s, my instrument began to have serious issues that I just didn't understand, even as a voice teacher. I couldn't sustain notes without them shaking. And my nervous system would try and compensate by beginning to squeeze, and it became almost involuntary. And I had a suspicion what was going on, but it still, when I heard the words that you have an essential vocal tremor, it was pretty devastating because as a voice teacher, I need my voice. And this tremor, oh my goodness, somebody's writing on my slides. I got a graffiti artist. Do you see that? Is that just me?
No, I do see that as well.
Oh, okay. So my voice was shaking uncontrollably. And that led me to Carrie Obert. Carrie Obert is an amazing speech language pathologist. She is a researcher as well as a voice teacher. And I underwent rigorous work with her and rehab work. My voice, if I let the tremor come out, because my tremor is ever present. It's benign, it's non-Parkinson's, but it's a neurological condition. They don't know what causes it. There is no cure. So it's always there. If I let the tremor out, it sounds like this. This is what my voice was doing. So I was in a panic and undergoing this intense therapy with Carrie. The main thrust of which was not just focusing on my vocal folds or vocal cords, but actually the muscles around, the surrounding muscles to anchor and strengthen the whole mechanism, the whole instrument. And I said to Carrie, you know, these exercises, this protocol seems like it would also help the aging voice. And she said, absolutely. So it was then that I realized, you know what, this affliction, if you will, can become a blessing in that it can enable me to change my focus and to help others who are dealing with the aging process of the voice. So I wrote my book, The Mature Singer's Guidebook. And what I want to do, let me see if I can put this in the chat. I think I have to stop sharing for a second. Let me put this in the chat. This is a direct download for the PDF version of the book. So that's the entire book. If you click that, you should be able to download the book. So you can go ahead and read it. Let me share again. So I want to talk about what I call the conspiracy of aging, because the aging process, it's not just changing what we see in the mirror, it is going after our voice as well. And what aging will bring, there are three main enemies of singing. That is stiffness, so things become less stretchy, less pliant. Atrophy, muscles weaken, and then overall weakness. So we get stiffness in the tissues of the vocal folds. We get atrophy within the vocal folds themselves because we have weakness in the what they call the vocalis muscle, the thyroid muscle. This muscle makes up the bulk of your vocal cords, and as it weakens, we can actually get bowing in the cords. They don't close completely. So that's where you'll start to feel weakness of tone. The tone can get fuzzy. And then just overall weakness in our support system, in our vocal tract, and even a weakness, a slowing down in the signals from the brain to the voice. So we can have a number of different issues that come with this. Reduced range is a big one, because we begin to experience that stiffness. The tissue is less pliable. There's the tone can become less satisfactory. We feel unstable. The vocal bridges, that area where you're shifting from your lower to your upper register, that whole area can shift and change where it happens. It usually starts happening sooner than we were previously used to. Overall weakness in our vocal production, in our ability to sing robustly. Our vibrato can slow down. And we can also have issues with intonation, with singing in tune. So this is my protocol to turn back the clock. Now, when I say turn back the clock, I'm not going to tell you that you're going to have the same voice that you had at 25, because that voice is gone. But the voice that you have now is fully capable of expressiveness. That voice still has untapped potential no matter your age. All of us can get in better shape. We can't necessarily be in the shape potential when we were in our 20s and 30s, but we can still get in better shape. You can still regain a good measure of your vocal potential, especially if you're comparing yourself to your younger voice, which I would encourage you not to. As they say, comparing is despairing. Your job now is to really become a student of and become curious of the instrument you have now and working for what that instrument needs and focusing on that instrument to make it the best possible. So with my work with Carrie, I came up with an acronym for this system because acronyms are easier to remember. And I call it the HERO system because anyone who fights the good fight is a hero in my book. So the HERO system stands for hydration, exercise, range, energy, optimize, and sing. And I'm going to take you through each one of these. Hydration is a huge one. As we get older, we tend to get less thirsty. We can drink less if we're not reminded of it. And that is a problem for the singer because we also start to produce less mucus, and the mucus we do produce tends to be thicker. And with that comes the issues of phonation threshold pressure, which I'll explain to you. But your vocal folds, they need a constant layer of moisture, and the aging process reduces this. One of the biggest issues that older singers will complain of is having to clear their throat, of dealing with thick mucus. And one of the things where it really causes a problem is this thing called phonation threshold pressure, or PTP. And what it means is this: how much pressure does it take to get your vocal cords to start phonating or making sound? And the more pressure it takes to get this to happen, the harder it is to sing, the more you have to work. The likelier it is that you will begin to squeeze and strain. And you can demonstrate this to yourself because it's very analogous to what a trumpet player does just before they play. A trumpet player will lick their lips before they play. So if you can buzz your lips like a trumpet player, I want you to do this. Go ahead and lick your lips and go, and just notice how much effort that took. Now, wipe your lips dry. Try it again. That was much harder. When we don't have this thin layer of mucus on the vocal folds, then we start to have issues like vocal strain, cracks, and excessive throat clearing. And with that, I just suddenly have the urge to drink some tea. So with hydration, There are two types of hydration. They're both important. The first is the one we typically think of, which is systemic, drinking fluids. But it's not just drinking water. Coffee and teas also count. The coffee is often debated if it's going to dry you out. I love coffee. I actually roast my own coffee beans. So I have confirmation bias. I will believe the studies that show that it's not detrimental to singing, but I make sure that I also drink water along with it. Also, water-rich foods, fruits, vegetables, soups. You want to basically stay hydrated. The rule of thumb is your urine should be pale. Now, that can change with medications, etc. But staying hydrated systemically is important, because if we get dehydrated at the level of the cells, the vocal folds they'll begin to atrophy. They'll begin to shrink. Those of you who have acoustic guitars, when the weather gets really dry, they have a thing called fret sprout. The wood will actually shrink and the metal frets will start to protrude from the side. So people will keep humidifiers in their guitar case. The top of the guitar can even crack. If you get dehydrated on that level, it can take many days to get back to baseline. So make sure you stay systemically hydrated. The other, and this is where you can get very quick relief, because even drinking water, it takes hours for it to get to your vocal folds. Your organs, other parts of the body have higher priority. So the other thing you can do is topical. We used to tell singers to use steam, and steam isn't bad, but there is something that is far more effective that I recommend. And this is a portable mesh nebulizer. A mesh nebulizer. They sell them specifically for singers. They're kind of expensive. They're like $170. I just get whatever's on sale online, like 40, 50 bucks. And I get, this is 0.9% saline solution or isotonic solution. And this is, what is this? 5 milliliters. And you put it in this little reservoir. And this that comes out, this is not steam, because steam would leave the saline behind. This fluid is being pushed through a very fine mesh that turns this into tiny particles with the saline. It's more readily absorbed by the vocal folds, and it stays on your voice. I use this throughout the day. The only thing I also recommend is to get one that is rechargeable, because if you use batteries, it goes through it so fast. But a portable mesh nebulizer. There's not even a brand name on this. And I go through them. One will last me like 8 to 12 months. So I do have to replace them. The other thing I recommend, and you can check with your doctor, but this is guafenicin. You can buy it. It's generic. You can buy it over the counter here in the US. I don't think you can buy it, guafenicin, in Canada. You have to buy Mucinex. This is the active ingredient in Mucinex without the other stuff. It's really cheap. I take 400 milligrams. It is spelled Guafenesin. It thins mucus. And for me, it works really well. The other thing you can do if you're dealing with thick mucus, nasal rinses like a neti pot can be very helpful. But get that mucus thin. I use every day. I take guafenicin. I do a nasal rinse. I make sure that I'm hydrated I'll make an electrolyte drink in the morning, and I use my nebulizer throughout the day. Next is exercise. And we all know that physical exercise is important for health, but you have to exercise your voice. One of the pitfalls of aging is the average person, when they retire, they really stop using their voice. Nowhere, they don't use it anywhere near as much as when they were working. And that quickly starts to set in the weakness, the atrophy, the stiffness. So this is my rule for the voice. And this is a minimum, is you want to work your voice 5 days a week, 20 minutes a day, no more than a week off at any one time. And I don't take a week off. I can feel my voice start to slip pretty quick, especially with the tremor. So I have to keep my voice working so that I can hold this tremor down. The 20 minutes, if you can have focused practice, fantastic. That is optimal. But it can also be cumulative. You can just through the day, just do lip bubbles. That's a wonderful exercise. Sirens. Ooh, anything to get your voice working. And again, it's 5 days a week, 20 minutes a day. If you want to practice more than that, great. I wouldn't go too far past 45 minutes. Make sure that you're taking little micro breaks through your practice. If you want to practice longer than that, split it up between an earlier session and a later session. The voice isn't like piano or guitar where you can sit and practice for 8 hours a day. The instrument's not going to respond well. Now, we sing with our whole body, not just the vocal folds. And so we need both vocal and physical exercise. There is this amazing substance that basically wraps our body like all through it, all through the muscles. It holds us like netting. It's called fascia. And the fascia is all connected. And voice teachers are looking more and more into this. And fascia, when we're exercised, the fascia is very flowing and it's liquid-like, which is great for movement. When we don't use it, it stiffens, and stiff fascia is not good. And when we tighten up, when we get stress, the fascia actually radiates that stress to other parts of the body. So if we're stressing in one part of the body, it'll find its way to the voice. So we've got to get the body healthy. We have to eat right. We have to exercise, but also with the voice. So posture is incredibly important. It is said that tall singing is good singing. So here is some imagery that works for me. You can try this. Imagine your head is a helium-filled balloon and just let it start floating up to the ceiling. And you will feel the spine lengthen and the posture gets better. It's not sway back, it's not tight, but it's this proud, noble posture. Now I want to talk about breath because breath and support is something that older singers will feel they struggle with. So first, let's do a couple of exercises just to feel a good supported breath. When we breathe in, I want you to imagine you're breathing into a barrel that's 360 degrees. So you're not just breathing forward. Your chest is up, your ribs are expanded, and we're just going to take in this nice breath through our nose. Everything expands and then let it out. Great. Now, I want you to take your hand just a couple inches below your belly button and just say, huh, huh. You'll feel a little muscle kick out. Now, do this on a hiss. Feel that muscle kick out. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take in this breath, and then we're going to exhale on this hiss, and we're going to press out that muscle. So we're supporting the voice. As we breathe out, we stay in expansion, not contraction. I'm going to show you another little device. I love to collect singing devices. This is called breather voice. Breather voice. This has resistance, both the inhale and exhale. You can dial in different levels of resistance. They did a research experiment. They took a group of singers and they broke them into two groups. One was the control group, so they just warmed up normally. The other group, they took a resistance device like this and they only did it on the exhale, and they had them breathe in and then breathe out. And I believe they did it for an extended period of time. I think it was like 3 sets of 40 breaths. But what they found was the group that did the breathing resistance exercise had a dramatic improvement in their singing. Their ability to sustain notes went up over 20%. The stability in their voice increased as well. And what they believe is when you have this resistance, you're actually connecting the brain to these muscles of inhalation. The muscles of inhalation are very important in singing because they are the brakes on the car as it's going downhill. You keep those muscles engaged. Now you have controlled support, because non-support is like a relaxed breath. So we just breathe in, the chest rises and falls. That's not a good breath for singing. Then we connect this to the vocal cords. So what I want you to do is we're just going to take in this breath, and then we're just going to say, hey. Say that for me if you're able to make noise. Hey. Good. Now, it's like you're calling out to a friend across the street, and as high as is comfortable, just say, hey. Try a little higher. Hey. We'll say, hey, hey, ho, ho, ha, ha, he, he. Do that with me. Good. Do that with me. Hey, hey, ho, ho, ha.
John, can you unmute? Sorry.
Yes. You got a little excited with the mute button.
Is it possible that he's a bigger thing and the physical things are?
So that connection to the vocal folds. Hey, hey. And I think that for me, that's a great warm up to just feel that. Hey, hey, hey. I don't push. I don't grab at the voice, but I just let that freely go. Range is another huge one. And range, what's happening? Well, everything is stiffening. So we have cartilage, movable cartilage within the voice that begins to ossify and harden. So it doesn't, the range of motion becomes somewhat limited versus the young voice. The tissue itself, the muscles, the ligament. Your vocal folds are made up of ligament, muscle, and then this multi-layered mucosal tissue. And all of that can begin to stiffen. Now, it can stretch. You can start to get that back. It just takes daily work. Now, you're not going to get all the range that potential that you had, again, in your 20s and 30s, but there's still a lot. Hormonal changes also affect. But the key is to use your full range every day. So some exercises I love to do, and you can do this. I love glides. And a really good glide is we start on ah, and we just go up to ooh. So we'll say, ah, it's a whoop. Do that with me. And then just see, little by little, can you go a little higher? Now, you don't want to tense up, because when we tense up, what happens? The muscles in the voice contract, specifically those muscles within the vocal cords. When they over contract, they limit range, they lock up. So this is just, it's a stretch. It's a stretch. The other thing, one of my favorite exercises, if you're able to do lip bubbles, fantastic. If you can't do a lip bubble, do a raspberry. It's a little messier, but it'll work as well. And on that lip bubble, whenever I think about it throughout the day, I will just glide from my highest to lowest notes. You can do reverse glides. Ooh, ooh. Stretch those vocal folds. so that they're going from stretched and thin to short and fat, and just all throughout the day, work that. The reason the lip bubbles work so well, and we'll get into that, they are in the family of semi-occluded vocal tract exercises. You will see them called SOVTs. And that's just fancy voice teacher talk for semi-occluded, partially blocked vocal tract. When we put a partial obstruction in the vocal tract, it actually creates back pressure. And that back pressure is incredibly helpful. It helps us optimize the voice. Now, the optimize, the O of heroes, this is what you spend the rest of your singing life doing. This is what voice teachers do. They help you optimize the voice. We help you get the most out of the instrument for the least amount of effort. Now, it's not that you don't use effort in singing. You do. People say, I want to sing without tension, and I'll tell them, well, tension-free singing is called silence. We have to work when we sing, just like an athlete. They are working incredibly hard, right? We just had the Olympics, the figure skaters, but there's a grace to it. There's no excess motion. Everything is optimized. So what we want to do is we want to work smarter, but also harder. And I will tell you, as we get older, we have to work a little harder when we sing. I saw a recent clip of Barry Manilow singing live, who's he's in his 80s, and he sounded great, but you could see he was physically working. So when we begin to over relax and we think we can't have any tension in the voice, we shouldn't be working. That is misguided. We need to work. It's just not excess tension. We don't want to be struggling. So what we want to do is we want to optimize the airflow, just like we showed with the breathing exercises. We want to optimize the resistance. That's at the vocal cords or the vocal folds, how much air they're holding back. And then, and arguably the most important thing, is the resonance and the registration. The resonance in the voice really is the magic. Your breath and your vocal cords, what they do is they create bursts of energy. They create vibrating air molecules that propagate throughout your vocal tract, your throat and your mouth. Little spill over to the nasal cavities, more so on certain sounds, but this isn't really an effective resonator. So we're talking about this vocal tract. And then the size and shape, how we shape that vocal tract is essential. Because if we shape it optimally, we are going to get this feedback of energy. And you felt it in your voice where you go for a note that sometimes feels hard, but all of a sudden it feels really easy and there's power there. What's going on? Well, you shaped your vocal tract optimally. When we don't, we have all kinds of problems. That's where the voice can begin to suffer and strain. Key to this is when we get this optimal resonance, the energy doesn't just travel out the mouth to the listener. A portion of the energy feeds back into the vocal tract. And so the energy starts reflecting backwards, almost like an echo, right? The sound wave is coming back. The energy is coming back. And when it comes back, it raises the air pressure above the vocal folds. Now, why is that important? Well, we talked about that phonation threshold pressure, and we want that value to be low. Well, when the air pressure above the vocal folds is higher, the air pressure below drops. It gets easier to sing. And so one of the big secrets to feeling this and training this into the body are SOVTs, these semi-occluded vocal tract exercises. And these can be lip bubbles and tongue trills, even voice consonants like v, z. But even better are straws. And straws in water. This contraption, you don't need to get one of these. This is the Dr. Vox. And this is just a way so I can have a straw and water available. The more water I add, the more resistance I get. But what happens is when I use this, the straw in the water is creating back pressure. That back pressure raises the pressure above my vocal cords. It makes it easier to sing. And I'll show you, it comes with a mask. And this mask, this little contraption is brilliant. Because if I'm going to sing something, if I'm trying to sing like, it's somebody to love, and I'm straining, yeah, I can sing love. This pops me into the right place. And the magic of this is when you create that higher pressure with the straw, the resistance of the straw, you artificially create it. The body goes into the right place. Dr. Ingo Titze, who has spearheaded a lot of research on this, he says something I love. The body remembers. So I have all kinds of voice straws. I've got like the little cups, that same thing that I can sing into, or just the straw itself. You can do it. You can take a bendy drink straw and a cup of water, and you just use it to vocalize. And you just kind of feel, you go depth into the water to feel where you get a nice sense of resistance. You should feel a bit of a bullfrog in the throat. And then you can just do glides up and down through that water. It really does help. And the more you do that every day, another research study I saw that I love is they took a group of singers that were dealing with vocal fold weakness. There was bowing in the vocal folds. They weren't getting the full closure. They had the control group not do anything different. And then they had a group do lip bubbles whenever they thought of it, all throughout the day. That group showed marked improvement. The vocal folds started to be able to close. They strengthen, and then they also become more elastic. You have muscle within your vocal cords. That muscle needs to be worked, not in a strained way, not jammed up, but these SOVT exercises are perfect for that. We need to sing with energy. We have to bring energy when we sing, when we're older. We need focused energy, our body, our mind, and emotional energy. When you come to practice the voice, I remember in my 20s, I'd be like half paying attention as I just worked my voice. And you know what? It worked because I had 25-year-old tissue, right? It was young, it was vibrant. My voice was naturally strong, right? Youth. Oh, youth. But now I have to work. And so I have to make sure that I am focused. And also, I want to engage my mind with my voice. I want to be very, very present. The brain, they've looked at this, even into your 90s, still has neuroplasticity. Your brain can still grow and change. And if we don't work this, the signal processing slows down. Our ability to match pitch becomes hampered. When we go to make micro corrections, we'll overcorrect, we'll sing out of tune. Everything gets slower. But we can attack that. We can fight against that. But we have to be present. We have to work our voice energetically. And I also bring emotional energy using movement. Look, try this with me. I'm going to go back to that hey exercise, and I want you to just on a as high a pitch as feels comfortable, just go, hey, do that for me. And now you're going to take your arms and you're going to throw your arms up and you're going to go, hey. You probably went higher when you used your arms. When we get movement, if you're having trouble with your vibrato, one of the things that I will do, I will go on a light tone. I will hold a straight tone. I'll try not to let it move. And then I'll do this. I'll get a tremor in my hands. Get that emotion, get that excitement. So we don't get we don't get that vibrato slowing down. Emotional connection is so vitally important. Look, I try and bring a sense of true gratitude when I come in to work with my voice. My voice still works on some level, right? I'm never going to have the voice that I had before I had this tremor. As much as I work, that tremor's taken a little something from me. And there are certain notes I have to be careful, and it's a different instrument now. But I am grateful for what I have. I truly believe that we are born to sing. We are wired to sing. Our first language before we spoke, they theorized was something called a musa-language. It's the musa-language theory. It was a sung language that expressed emotion 150,000 years ago. 50,000 years later, 100,000 years ago, it split off into music and speech, but they still have the common root. Speaking is music. Good speakers have music in their voice, right? They don't talk in this monotone. There's rhythm, there are accents, there's melody, and emotion. Emotion, that's how we connect to each other emotionally, is with our voice. It's primary. So keeping your voice healthy is also going to keep you connected to others, because I felt that as my tremor started to come and really take my voice for that scary period, I suddenly didn't want to talk to people. I became self-conscious because that shake was just coming into everything. So you bring emotional energy. And then finally, you sing. You sing every day. Singing maintains vocal health and muscle memory. Yeah, it reinforces breath control. So it's good physically. It gives you vocal endurance, but also it enhances emotional well-being and cognitive function. Study after study shows the power of music and the brain. Even just actively listening to music stimulates the brain. Then on the next level is learning an instrument. They took people in their 60s, 60 and over, who never played an instrument, and they gave them piano lessons. And within 4 months, the brain started to de-age. Their cognitive function increased. And what works the brain more than playing an instrument? Singing. Singing lights up the brain like no other activity, because you are dealing with text, you are dealing with all the musical elements of pitch and rhythm. You have to regulate. We don't have a mechanical interface. We don't have keys to press or frets to play. We are the instrument. Your brain has to be so engaged. Singing is cognitively protective, and it also encourages social function, which is so vital. So singing is incredibly important, and I love that all of you are in a group. This is one of the best things that you can do for yourselves, to be in a group where you are singing. So sing every day. Choose songs that mean something to you, that you connect with, but also be flexible with your repertoire. So I will tell you something, and if you tell anyone I said this, I'll deny it. Oh, wait, there's a recording. But I don't really listen to musical theater for pleasure. It's not my go-to music, but I love to sing it. I love how big it is. I love how emotionally expressive it is. I love how it feels in my voice. So don't just sing genres that you like. Practice with intention. Come into your practice area focused. put your phone on airplane mode. The phone is great to record yourself as you're practicing to get feedback, but remove distractions. I have in my practice area, I have a little timer, a little sand dial. And is that the name for it? I'm blanking out on it. Anyway, it is a 30-minute, and I flip it over and I just go until the sand runs out. And that keeps, I know while that sand is going, an hourglass. These are the days of our lives. That hourglass, as that is going, I know I'm not going to be distracted. And then sing for others. There is no greater way to communicate emotionally with other people than through song, and sing with others. All right, with that, we will go ahead and take questions.
So we have quite a few questions in the chat. So let me go back up here to the top. Let's see. Tess asks, roughly at what age do our voices start to change?
Yeah, so changing is unique, or aging is unique to all of us. Mm-hmm. It's a very interesting process, and it's we're kind of privileged to go through it because not everybody gets to. But you can, the female voice, you can even in your later 30s start to experience perimenopause, even earlier than that. It is different for men, women, voices influenced by testosterone versus voices that are not. I know you had the singing through change authors on, so they are the experts on this. But as you lose estrogen, the vocal folds can thicken. Also, while that muscle within the vocal folds begins to atrophy. I'm sure they spoke about hormone replacement therapy. That actually can be very effective. Be careful if the doctor is talking about using testosterone on any level, because testosterone will permanently change the voice. Mm-hmm. So you have to be careful with that. But the male voice, it tends to happen a little later. You will begin to see some changes, certainly in your 50s, and then by 60, you can really start to see the weakening, the aging. If you're not actively involved in turning back this clock, then you will really begin to feel it in your voice. So it's important. By the time you hit 60, you have to be pushing back on this and working your voice.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Dorothy asks, you were talking about hydration. Does it matter what type of hydration?
No. As long as just get fluids in you. Yeah. So, and I know people talk about dairy, and dairy is one of those things where if you're not lactose intolerant, it's not a huge issue. I just wouldn't drink dairy before you sang. And also the mouthfeel of dairy, I don't really consume dairy at all. And the last time I had real ice cream, and this is just me being like Princess and the Pea hypersensitive, but my mouth just felt coated with grease from the buttercream, and it's just like, ugh, I don't feel like singing.
We did have a request because you had your PowerPoint going at the same time. If you could show those couple of different contraptions you had.
Oh, you didn't see them. I'm sorry.
Now I've spotlighted you.
Yeah.
So we can see them really, really clearly. So the nebulizer and
so this is the nebulizer, okay? And what you want to search for is portable mesh nebulizer. And again, make sure I get the rechargeable ones. The non-rechargeable, if you're going to keep it in one place and you want to keep it plugged into the USB, great. But with batteries, it's really wasteful. They go through batteries so fast. And then this is what the isotonic fluid looks like. It's 0.9% saline, and it comes in these packs. I know someone said, boy, that's kind of wasteful with the plastic. It's the only way I can think of, because this needs to be sterilized. I will say, do not make your own solution, because whatever's in here is going straight into your lungs. And on one of my videos on YouTube, someone suggested putting hydrogen peroxide in it. And that's actually a thing. I looked it up. Do not put hydrogen peroxide in this. This goes deep into your lungs. As singers, I don't know that, please. Yeah. So it's sterile isotonic solution. I will do it. People will ask how long to do it. I'll do it for a few minutes before I have to use my voice. So like just before I got on with you, it comes with a mouthpiece. I don't do it because I'll be lazy. Like I'll be walking around. I just hold it with my teeth as I'm, using my hand. And I just breathe this. And then when I'm practicing all through it, I just have it there. When I take a 30-second break, I'll run it through the nebulizer.
Great, thank you. Let me see. Somebody asked you, and I think she asked it before you started talking about a straw. Is a straw a good enough substitute for resistance inhaling?
Absolutely. So you know what? I would say I believe so. And I even pretending you're trying to slurp in really thin spaghetti. What you want to feel is that engagement of the muscles of inhalation. And you'll feel the abs, you'll feel the back expand, right? The ribs, those intercostals. And then as you do the hiss, keep them engaged. The voice, I tend to stay away from binaries in the voice, because the voice, everything is just on a continuum. But the one place I talk about either or is you want singing in general to be in expansion, right? Expansion of your muscles, right? You're not clenching here, but everything's open, expansion of your energy, right? And what we don't want is contraction and everything collapsing, so that you're always in expansion.
Awesome. Sharon asks, I have a breather voice and could never figure out how to find the zone. Can you explain? Also, when I use it, I don't feel any resistance. I have it on 2 and 2.
Oh, so just crank up the resistance a bit. So I've got it on, so I've got mine on 3 on the inhale and 4 on the exhale. It's not that you're trying to struggle, but just with that, I have to actively engage in order to get my breath. I can't take a relaxed breath. And so that's the key. And then the exhale, it's just a good way to just have that consistent resistance. You can just play with the dial. I don't think there's a perfect zone, but 2 may just be a little too light.
Okay, great. Peggy asks, what is the relationship between the resonance in the vocal tract and the mask?
Oh, okay, that's a great question. The resonance in the vocal tract, that's what's happening acoustically. So that is the energies that are being created with sound, and sound is just vibrating air molecules. Now, when we have this feeling of the mask and all of these different sensations, it's fascinating, but our bodies are actually absorbing the vast majority of the energy that's created. I have heard that it's over 90%, which just is mind-blowing to me that we can still make all that sound. So there's an incredible amount of energy here. And as these air molecules and how they're being boosted and all these energies shift and change with pitch and vowels, etc., we experience the vibrations differently. And one of the key things also, so the mask is just kind of this feeling of the vibration, and people will use feeling to kind of guide the vocal tract in those interactions, because we can't really see anything that's going on. We just feel the resulting sensations. So people will say, feel it in the mask, feel it go behind your soft palate, right? And they'll talk about head voice, and they'll say, well, the voice lifts up in here. And of course the voice isn't. I'd like to think this area is occupied, but the voice never just stops going through here, but how we experience it changes.
Okay. Yeah, I say to my singers, 99.9% of singing is mind over matter. It's how you're thinking about doing it because we can't, it's not like a clarinet where we can manipulate physically. We have to think about what does it feel like to do certain things.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and even further on that, you have to. That's why we practice over and over, because you can't worry about what it feels like after you've started singing. The brain needs to be predictive. When the brain is predictive and things are going along as it is predicting, everything's fine. But as soon as it's no longer happening as it predicted, well, now it has to go into real time fixing, which the brain is not as good at. And that's when things start to go off the rails. So that moment before you sing, you have a clear mental picture of what that experience is going to be. So a great thing to practice is over and over that microsecond before you sing. Take the breath, adjust, but don't sing. Just practice that. Preparation.
I love that. Lydia asks, are you familiar with, and I'm going to see if I can pronounce this, Reinke's edema? I was diagnosed with it many years ago. It's a benign condition causing inflammation of the vocal folds.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I had someone who was dealing with that years ago. But it's been so long. I can't speak to it.
She asked if there were any good treatments or exercises for
Yeah,
it.
so with vocal fold swelling. Yeah, and I'm sorry that you're dealing with that. Obviously, speaking with your ear, nose, and throat doctor. And if any of you need a voice doctor, just know that an ear, nose, and throat doctor is kind of the general. What you really want is a laryngologist. And a laryngologist is what focuses on the voice. But the best things for vocal fold inflammation are SOVTs, those semi-occlusive vocal tract exercises, and be gentle with them. Don't try and get a lot of resistance, but even just lip bubbles. That back pressure and that phonation can begin to thin out the vocal folds.
Thank you. John says, I'm 79. In the last 2 years, my hearing has declined by 30% and I've developed tinnitus. While I haven't noticed any change in my voice, are there things I should start doing now to protect my ability to sing?
I would, and I'm just thinking of a background singer that I worked with. And she would very often, when she's singing backup, she wouldn't get good monitors because, of course, the artist that she's backing up, all the attention would go on them. And she learned to sing in tune, just guiding by sensation. I would pay particular attention as you're singing, what that feels like. What do those pitches feel like? When you're working a song, dial into, where do I feel that? Where am I experiencing that? Because the sensations you will keep, even as your hearing degrades. When we sing higher, right, we are getting feedback from in the room, but we lose a lot of the feedback that we get to our hearing on higher pitches, because a lot of what we hear is through bone conduction to the inner ear. And high pitches, bone doesn't conduct very well. So I remember working with someone, and every time I get her balanced on a high note, she'd go, oh, that's the death place. I can't hear it. And it frustrated her that was the correct place to sing, because she wanted to kind of strangle that note to feel it. It's like, no, I'm sorry, but that's how the instrument works, where you guide by less information.
We've had a couple people talk about posture. You were mentioning posture and
Yep.
posture correction, and things like that. Lydia said, I've heard that neti pots are not safe. You did mention them. And somebody had replied that to make sure that you use distilled water.
Yes. Yeah. So you're using distilled water. You can boil water and let it cool. But yeah, just as long as the water is distilled. If you find it irritating, because it comes with these, basically it turns it into isotonic like solution, so it doesn't burn. So it's gentler on the body. But if you have concerns, talk to your doctor.
Okay. And along those same lines, let me see. Ellen asks, does breathing in steam from an electric teapot help moisturize your vocal folds?
It does. You have to be careful it's not too hot. But when they looked at the nebulizer, what they did in this study is they had singers breathe air, dry air from a tank. And then they were able to look at the vocal folds. And steam, while helpful, was nowhere near as helpful as the nebulizer. It's that isotonic solution that tends to really stay on the vocal folds. It's absorbed by the surface, and then also because it's very, very small through when it goes through this mesh, and then it stays on the surface as well.
Great. Those are all of the questions that I see in the chat. Do we have any other questions from the group? Oh, here we go. Follow-up question. Are cold air humidifiers good for the voice?
Yeah, actually, so with a humidifier, what I recommend is you get something called a hygrometer, and that measures the relative humidity in your environment. So in your sleeping area, you want the humidity to be between 45 and 55%. If it's higher than 55, do not run a humidifier because you're going to probably create mold. But if it's under 45%, you want to go ahead and run that. And the cold air is fine. It's actually, I think the cold air put more, it's been a while since I looked at it. The cold air, I think, is more effective than the warm air humidifiers. The cold air, you got to watch. You got to make sure you keep them clean because they can get nasty.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone said, yeah, they the paper packets for the neti pot. Yep. It's salt and baking soda and clean distilled water. Is this okay? Well, I hope so because I do it every day. But yeah, it's really if you deal with postnasal drip because that gunk getting on your vocal folds. And I know a top laryngologist in Los Angeles who works with a lot of top performers, and she recommends nasal rinses because the postnasal drip it's just irritating on the vocal folds.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that catches us up on the chat. Are there any other questions? I know not everybody loves to put things in the chat. Are there folks that want to unmute and ask a question?
Marianne, I have a question.
Sure.
I just wonder, John, my past experience has been in musical theater and usually been the one who's been the belter.
Yep.
That doesn't age well. I mean, do you think it's a matter of you've been belting the wrong way?
So
too much.
Yeah, belt's one of those things. It's we know it when we hear it, but it's kind of a wide tent as to what belt is, and belt can be more of a shouty belt, or belt can be a little more mixed, if that term makes sense. It's basically how we want to approach it. The acoustics of belt. If the belt starts getting shouty, that puts more strain on the voice, and that is harder. But if you can rebalance that belt acoustically, you can get that in a better place. An exercise that I love, you can all try this. I love to build mix, and then from that mix, you can start building more belt, is WON, one. And the reason I love one is it's going from a very closed vowel, wah, ooh, ooh, ooh. And then it's like a filter sweep, wah, one, one. So you can kind of feel the resonance go through that. And the idea is at some point you're going to sweep through the sweet spot and kind of stop there. So Starting with the lower voice types, you just say, I'll start on the top and say, 1, 1, 1, 1. I'll just take that up. 1, 1, 1, 1. Now, if I'm going to get into the higher voices, the female voices, start here. 1, 1, 1, 1. 1, 1, 1, 1. 1, 1, 1, 1. 1, 1, 1, 1. So for me, like in a belt, if I'm here, that's too open. I'm going to feel that. That's going to start to cost. But if I start to find in the 1, 1, as opposed to 1, 1, 1, 1, that's easier for me to do. So it's a different balancing of the belt.
Thank you.
So you can still belt.
Wonderful. We've got some follow-up questions around allergy nose sprays and how they might affect the vocal cords, especially steroid inhalers and nose sprays and things like that.
You know what? There is a great resource at the National Center for Voice and Speech. It is ncvs.org. And they have it gets moved around on their site, but look on their site for their medications list, because they go through just a number of medications and their effect specifically on the voice. Yeah. Oh, someone just brought that up. Thank you. Yeah. ncvs.org. That is led by Dr. Ingo Tietze. And that's the best resource. So you can specifically look up any medications there.
That's great. I did not know that. That's wonderful. Good. Any other? Oh, let's see. Is drinking an 8-ounce glass of hot water with freshly squeezed lemon good for upper respiratory health?
I mean, it's how hot the water is, right? We have to be careful, because there can be issues if we're gulping really hot liquids, obviously. But people love lemon because it just kind of feels like it's clearing things up. Just know that whatever you're drinking is not touching your vocal cords. If it does, it's gone down the wrong way. Mm-hmm. But into the health benefits of lemon, sure. Fruits, vegetables. I'm a big believer in just eating as much plants as possible and getting that into your system, even just for your gut health and that microbiome. But also, there is absolutely something to the placebo effect. The placebo effect is real, and I've got this little spray here. It's called Singer's Professional Throat Spray, right? And I will squirt this. I know it's not touching my vocal cords, but when I do it, my mouth just feels a little better, as opposed to, eating ice cream and then the mouth just feels gloppy.
Do herbal teas help with the voice?
Sure, because you're getting liquids. So getting anything that's going to get you to drink liquids, especially as we get older, we don't get as thirsty as we used to. That warning signal kind of dulls a little bit. So if you get into habits, right? I will drink electrolyte drinks. I like throat coat tea.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. There's one tea that says throat coat.
Yeah, that's what I've got. That's what I'm drinking right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I love to drink green teas. I will drink usually in the afternoon, just a little gentle boost. I drink Argentinian yerba mate, which is kind of like it's kind of like a funky tea that I enjoy. But anything that keeps you drinking. I also, in terms of supplements, and this is where the science gets fuzzy, yes? Mm-hmm. But I will tell you what I take. You talk to your doctor, you see what's right for you. But I am convinced, and I am on a plant-based diet. That's how I generally eat. It's not that I never eat animal products, but it's not very often. And so with that, I have to supplement certain things like B12, but I will take animal-based collagen every day, and I take creatine. And I feel like creatine has really helped my voice. But again, check with your doctor. I'm always just a little reticent to start throwing out all the supplement answers.
I have a question from Jenny. Any tips for female tenors trying to reach the low notes? So many times we're talking about expanding up.
Sure,
This one wants to expand down.
So the key to singing down is for the voice to be brighter. The pitch, as we go down in pitch, if we keep the voice kind of dark, there's not a lot of energy there, because the pitch that we're singing, the fundamental, is relatively slow, doesn't have a lot of energy. So what operatic basses do is they tune the resonance to bring out the higher parts, the higher frequencies, the harmonics of the sound wave. And you just think of it as being bright. So just do this. Give me a nice, bright, sharp ah. Say that. Ah, ah, ah. Good. And say ah, 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 ah. Well, that's too low for the female voice. I'm sorry. But let me see. You can do it here. Ah, 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 ah. And then you just little by little. And on these low notes, let's say you have to sing a closed vowel like an oo. You have to sing the word you, right? You, ah, ah, you, keep it bright. You as opposed to you.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any thoughts on an ultrasonic nebulizer?
I haven't used that. There are nebulizers that are specifically for medical conditions. And the thing is, I'd have to look. I don't know if that is mesh. The key to this, and the reason that they use the nebulizer, is the mesh makes the particles very small so that it is absorbable by the vocal folds. So that's where they did the research. And also some of these nebulizers, they get expensive and big and kind of clunky. You know, they're used to dispense certain medications and things.
Good. Tess says, if I consume a glass of wine, then I get very thirsty and drink lots of water.
Yeah. Well then, first thing in the morning, hit that bottle.
All right. Any last questions, folks? This is great. You're asking some wonderful questions.
Is there a tape of you singing?
I will tell you, I kind of just limit myself to just demonstrations these days. So I have not recorded myself performing in a long time. I will be frank, certain notes in my registers, the tremor, some notes are more challenging than others. It's really funny. The lower notes is where the tremor likes to show itself. And the higher notes, because the voice is more activated, the vocal tract is more activated, everything, it's got enough to hold it. It's when you go low, I have to be very, very careful to not lose that, or it just starts to shake. Which is a roundabout answer to say, I'm trying to think if I've got anything on YouTube. It's mostly just me demonstrating.
Lori asks about consonants seem to get in the way of good sound. Any hints?
Yeah, so consonants, depending on the consonant, because M's and N's can actually be helpful, depending on, because they're voiced consonants. But if you think of the voice as a flow of a signal, I get this also from Dr. Titsa. You have a signal flow. And what you want is you want to keep that flow as steady as possible. And then you have things that interrupt the flow. And things that interrupt the signal are changing pitch, changing vowels, and certainly consonants and unvoiced consonants, right? Aspirates, shh. Now the vocal folds stop phonating and then have to restart. So what you can do is you can work it without going to the concept. What is that? 365, 100. What is that? Seasons of Love. Someone demonstrated this the other day.
524,600 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you. So 524,600, right? So you have all this interruption. So what you do, instead of going 525, you just 524,600 minutes. You practice it without stopping. And then you see, how can I just make those consonants as tiny as possible? 524,600 minutes. And so you work that. And you minimize the consonants. You still want language to be understandable, but you don't want them to become an interruption in the signal flow.
Awesome. Yes. I always say sing through them. Try not to stop it. Try to sing through it.
Yeah.
Catherine, I know Catherine Harsha, who is our artistic director for programming. Do you have any questions, Catherine, from John as you've listened to him talk?
No, I just think that people should be taking notes. I already have a page and a half of notes. This has been incredible, John. And I also think that we all should take very careful notes on how to sing 525,600 minutes, because it might be showing up in our repertoire very soon.
Oh,
Aha.
well, there you go. And in lieu of notes, look, I do have, you can download my book, and you have my permission to upload the PDF if you use ChatGPT or anything like that, or Notebook LM. You can go ahead and upload it, and you can ask it questions and get feedback. I know people get weird about it, but whatever helps you study it, I'm perfectly fine with.
Thank you so much.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen, sorry, at the bottom it says save transcript. So I haven't been at the bottom of I have the chat. How do we save the transcript? How do we send it to ourselves? Do you know?
We will have that saved on our end when we download the video. And
Okay.
I can find a way to have that linked to the video when we send it out to you all.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
Yeah, but basically, you just aging as a process. Look, it's happening. All right. As forgive me, it's maybe my sense of humor, but someone said to me, right, I'm turning 60, and they said age is just a number, and I said, yeah, but it's a number that's eventually going to kill me. However, we can take active control of how we age, because about 30% of this is genetic, but the other 70 we can control. We know that at age 60, that's not the age to become a couch potato and to sit and eat junk food. They have qualified this or quantified that the age where things really start to matter is 35. You can get away with stuff until about 35, and then we have to take care of ourselves. This tissue, it regenerates. It can find flexibility again and pliability. You can still build strength. Your brain still has neuroplasticity. I had to basically rewire the connection of my brain to my voice to be able to access it without the tremor just throwing it off the rails. So you can, as long as you can make sound, as you are still in the game, your voice can always improve, but you have to become active in its recovery. And you have to become, and I'll stress this again, you have to become a student of your voice now. You need to become fascinated in the instrument you have now. You no longer, do not waste time lamenting the voice you used to have. That does you no good. What voice do you have now? What are its capabilities? How can I change things and find the potential in my voice? Because you are still expressive. You still have something to say. And I will tell you, I don't care if you're the worst singer in the world, everyone needs to sing. We are genetically programmed to sing as social beings. It's our first language. All babies sing. All cultures sing, unless they're the most oppressive, right? All religion, how do we worship? How do we connect? We connect through singing. It is and I tell people, I don't care what mood you're in. Go sing for 5 minutes and you will feel different. So don't let singing escape you. I have people that come and they feel these difficulties come in their voice and they become discouraged. And then a decade goes by, and what happens? The voice ages more. It weakens, it atrophies. Don't let it. You gotta sing. You have to sing.
Oh, you're speaking our language. That's
Yep.
our motto is to sing for life. And
Perfect.
it's a big reason why we don't have auditions. We believe everyone is able to sing and they just have to have a heart for it. And that it builds community, and it's so much more than just the music as well. That it's for our health and you know, brain health, physical health, and everything in between. So, thank you.
I just to say one more thing. I think our relationship with singing got fractured about 100 years ago, because before then, middle-class homes in the US and Europe, what was the entertainment system? A piano.
Yeah.
Right? There was over 1,000 piano companies in the United States. There's less than a handful now. What happened 100 years ago? The phonograph. So now it wasn't we all sing, because now you could have world-class singers on demand in your home, and it became, oh, they sing, I don't.
Yes.
And then people, right? I mean, how many people listening have had somebody say something terrible about your voice and it stopped you from singing? It's criminal. So that we have to become active again. And I love your mission. I'm with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we are just about at time. Any last minute questions?
Marianne?
Yes.
Oh, I just looked at the Amazon to find the mesh nebulizer.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say mesh, just nebulizer. I don't find any word mesh on that item.
Might be in the description. If it looks like this, it's most likely a mesh nebulizer. In general, yeah, it's just a little handheld. So it's using the mesh to push through the fluid.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great. So you've inspired people to go ahead and get started on their journey,
Good.
which is wonderful. Wonderful. Well, I want to say thank you again, John, for being here this evening. I've certainly learned so much, and I think that everybody has come away with some new ideas about how to keep their voice healthy, and some accessible things that we can each do ourselves. So thank you so much for being here this evening. Thank everyone for being online this evening. We will have a link to the recording. If there's something that you want to revisit, then that will be up. Give us a few days to edit it and get it posted. And I want to thank again AARP for sponsoring this so that we can have these wonderful opportunities to learn. So thank you so much, John, and I wish everybody a wonderful evening.
Bravo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.